In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the test prep for Sapling and Junior Master levels. We'll be asking, when does the test prep take place? Where is the test prep located? How do I access the materials? And what exactly am I going to be teaching? So if we start off with when, here is the Sapling class structures, and we can see on the right hand side that the test prep takes place on Other 1 and 2, and it will be in the first half of class, and that is a 40-minute lesson. Moving on to Junior Master, again that will take place on day 3. This time it will be CTP day in the first half of class, and it will also be a 40-minute class. Next, where is the test prep located? So if we look at Smart Class, we can see that there's an and more feature added now for Sapling and Junior Master. So if you select this feature, it will bring you to the test prep material. We can also see that each week of test prep is named week. So very creative name there. And you will select whatever week you're teaching on that day 3. Moving forward, how do you know what week to teach and what material to prepare? If you look here at the Junior Master operation plan, you can see that whatever week you're teaching is outlined. So we can see that the first week there is test prep week 1, and then moving on to the second red box, you can see that it's test prep week 2. So that's outlined on the operation plan. For Sapling levels, it won't be on the operation plan. What you'll have to do instead is take a look on Google Drive, and the week will be outlined there. Also provided for you on Google Drive will be the test prep syllabus and answer key for the term. Let's take a look at that now. Okay, here I am on Google Drive, and I'm in the test prep folder and for teachers folder. First, this is the syllabus, so it will outline what lessons you're teaching during what weeks. For example, on week 1, you'll be teaching reading main idea from reading, and then over on this side from sentence structure you'll be teaching subject and verb agreement. Now if we look at the answer key here, you can see that all of the answers to the practice questions are outlined here for you as well. So before you begin your test prep class, I would perhaps print out a copy of the answer key and have that on hand for when you go through your corrections in class. And finally, we'll take a look at the test prep material itself. The aim of test prep is to prepare students for TOEFL Junior exams. Within the book itself then, students will cover reading, listening, grammar and grammar usage. And during their class, their lesson, they will cover question types, strategy and practice questions. And then in their online iLearning after class, they would have additional practice questions. Here we can see the skills book that students would have. On the right hand side, a table of contents. Moving forward, each section is then further broken down into a 5 minutes strategy section where you will examine the question type, frequently appeared questions and strategies for answering the questions. The next page then you can look at some example questions with your students. Down the bottom of the page then the answers are explained. And then the students would have 15 minutes to answer some practice questions. So there would be 5 practice questions here for reading. And then moving forward, the students would have 15 minutes to complete the task, and you would have to justify and elicit some answers within that time. Here is an example of listening, so it covers the same sort of format with example questions, and then the students have practice questions. And the same for grammar as well. And finally, we have an appendix page. Okay, so let's move over to GATE and take a look at an example. So here I am on GATE, and our test prep will be located in and more. So let's select that. Here we have all the weeks. So for example, I've looked at my operation plan. I see that this week is week 1. So I'm going to select this. And within the week 1 folder, we have all the content for today's 40-minute lesson. So I can see that this is main idea here. This will be our first 20 minutes of class. I will go through what's asked, some model questions, elicit these and provide examples for my students, and then look at some strategies, do's and don'ts for answering the practice questions. Moving on to the second page, I have one example which I can read through and do with my students. And the answer and explanation is down the bottom of the page, so you can explain that with your students. I would have a second example then to go through with the students in the class. Again, answer and explanation down the bottom. Again, if we remember the times, it would be 5 minutes for strategy. That would be introducing this page and going through the 2 example questions. And then the students would have 15 minutes to complete the rest of these practice questions, and within that time you would need to justify answers from your students, so elicit and justify their answers. Moving forward then, if we keep going by all these practice questions, we can see that the second half of our lesson is located here. We have subject verb agreement, and we have a slightly different introduction strategy page here. So 5 minutes I might go through the warm-up and introduce the grammar point on this page and on page B, and maybe do 1 or 2 of these practice questions with students then. So for the remainder of the class, the students could complete these practice questions and finally complete everything on the following page. The final point I want to cover regarding test prep is that it's important for students to complete this work on their own individually. So when they're doing these practice questions, for the most part, they should be working on their own, and they should be sticking to the times that you allow them. This again is just to help them better prepare for their exams. If you're coming across time issues in your class, then you may allow students to work in pairs for 1 or 2 questions once they are mainly working on their own. And as the term continues, then they're focusing more on individual work. Okay, this was our overview for test prep. Thanks for watching.